right, today I have a very special guest with me via Zoom, of course, because everybody's doing everything via Zoom. I have Breanna Hogan in the building with me. Now, for all y'all who don't know, Breanna is a showrunner, a writer, a publicist, a producer, so many titles, and might I add, Howard Alumni?
Yes.
And a Chicago native?
Yes, that is correct.
Well-cultured?
Well-cultured, also correct.
Yes, so tell me a little bit about that journey from coming from Chicago to going to DC. There's so much culture there. I've visited both places, so I know it's definitely enabled your experience.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, when it came down to just like choosing where I wanted to go to school, that was a whole journey in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know. My mom really wanted me to go to a predominantly white institution.
Okay.
And, you know, I was really considering the University of Illinois. They gave me a lot of money scholarship-wise. Mm-hmm. But I went on a college tour to Howard. And something about that experience was just life-changing. And I remember like really being torn, and so asking a lot of students while I was there, like, what do you love about Howard? What should I do? And just the pride that students feel about their university at Howard is just like, it's unmatched. Just the energy, just the time that I had being on campus. It was like, I'll never forget, I like went to the bookstore. I bought like a full Howard fit. And when I came home, I was like head to toe in Howard drip. And my mom was just like, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to Howard.
You know, no, it's really incredible. I got a chance to visit Howard campus. I actually got accepted, but I didn't get the money. So I couldn't go. But my sophomore year at University of Houston, I looked into transferring because, like you said, the students, I don't think there's anything like it. Like, I wish everyone, period, could experience it. The pride that you all as alumni have for that institution and the students have there is just something that's just unmatched. And I think a lot of HBCU students feel that way, but I know experiencing it at Howard was just totally different for me.
Absolutely. And something about, like, you know, what I love about Howard is, you know, almost everyone at Howard was like the top of their class. So you really are surrounded by Black excellence. So it's just people who look like you, who have just as much drive and energy and ambition as you. And it's just so inspiring to see that. So, like, you know, this friend's doing this and launching a clothing line. And you just like, just that energy in the air, it just definitely keeps you motivated to be like, well, you know, let me, like, what am I doing? Like, let me get my stuff together. Let me get focused. Let me get motivated. And I totally credit, like, just going to Howard with everything that I've accomplished so far, everything that I've done, from, you know, creating and producing my own show.
Yes.
That definitely ties heavily back to just my experience at Howard and getting that, like, courage of not feeling like I couldn't do anything by being surrounded.
Yes, and that's definitely, sorry not to interrupt you, Breanna, but that's something that I wanted to touch on. How did you come about getting into the entertainment industry? Because I know I met you through, which I didn't even give people a history lesson. So a few years ago, I was working at Rolling Out magazine as a writer, and I actually got referred by Tigger Brand, and he referred to me for an article for Milk and Honey series that you were working on, and you were the publicist for it. So that's how I met Breanna. Sorry, full disclosure. So that's actually how I met you. So tell me a little bit about that journey for you from going and entering into being a publicist to even, like you said, now you're a writer, and just tell us a little bit about that transition and knowing that entering into the entertainment realm was for you.
Yeah, so, I mean, like you said, it was truly a journey. So freshman year of college, I actually thought I wanted to be a lawyer and go to law school. So I was on the mock trial team the summer after freshman year. I had an internship at a law firm. But, like, you know, just being there day in, day out, it's just such a mundane job. Like, it's just kind of drab. Even, like, from the outfit, even the writing in, like, law is very just, like, cut and dry. And it was just that summer, I was like, this isn't it. Like, I need some creativity. I need, like, to be challenged, you know, mentally, creatively. And so I spent that whole summer, like, just Googling what I need to be doing. Like, what do I like? What do I enjoy? And what am I good at? And I came across PR. And so then I started to, you know, make the transition from the legal track to the PR track in the summer after that. had an internship at a PR firm, but working on the brand side. So I was working on the new Motorola phone back when it first like revamped and everything.
Yes.
And even that, like, it was closer. Like, PR was a lot more fun and engaging than law. But even like on the brand side, I was like, okay, this is close, but like not quite. And that's when I really was like, okay, like, what do I love? Like, what do I really like to do and want to be around? And I remember, I never forget telling my dad, like, I think I'm gonna work at the BET Awards. And just like, I don't know, coming from Chicago, it just seems like a random far-fetched idea. And my dad literally was like, you can't work at the BET Awards. And literally like that fall, I was interning at the BET Honors working the red carpet.
Wow.
And it was so crazy. So that was really like my first taste of entertainment PR. And like, you know, something about events just really like is where I come alive. And I don't know if it has to do with just like that on the go, that like problem solving, just like, you know, putting your toes at an event. So that's when I knew like, okay, like this is it. So then I started just getting more into entertainment PR, working on shows and films, which is, you know, what I've been doing even until now. But I've always loved writing and I've always loved stories. So I'm an avid reader. I really love TV and films, especially the ones that just like encapsulate the audience, like really take you into a journey. And, you know, at one point I was just like Milk and Honey, I was working on another, you know, independently produced series called Giants.
Oh yeah, I love Giants. I watched it on Issa Rae's production. Yeah, I watched that. Awesome.
Yeah, so it was so well done. I was so impressed by my friend James who created it. You know, for it to be a web series, it was so high quality, just from the content to just like, you know, how it was shot. And I was out in LA, and it was just like, wow, like this is tangible. This is something like I can write. I can tell a story. I have a story to tell. So a la carte is loosely autobiographical. Just, you know, based on my personal experience in a situation that, like, you know, I just never should have been in. And I mean, I learned a lot. And at the end of it, I was a completely different person. But, you know, just all those elements together, I was like, let me just sit down and write and see what happens. And so
take us a little bit through that. So that journey for you for writing, like, I know the idea came into your mind about working with Giants. So how many years or how long? Because, you know, everybody's timeline for that is different. So what about for you? Was it like pretty quick, or how did it work for you?
Not at all.
It never is, but you know what? They learned it today.
Exactly. So I mean, so like you said, just being inspired by Giants and really being like, okay, I can do that. Let me just figure out how. So I know how to tell a story, and I'm a great writer. I just need to figure out how to tell a story in a script format. So I'm a visual learner. So the first thing I did was read scripts. So I probably printed out like my favorite 20 shows, the pilot episodes. Wow. And I just read scripts. And so, you know, that's how my brain processes information visually. So like once I got the hang of like, okay, this is how you're supposed to format a story for a screen. And then I was like, okay, I can do that. And like, let me just start writing down my story. And so that's when I, you know, put hands to keys and started actually like typing out episodes. I will say to write, so I wrote 6 episodes of a la carte, 6 30-ish minute episodes. And that took a year and a half at least just to write the episodes. And
it sounds unbelievable, but it is like, it takes time, especially like you said, formatting, screenwriting. I don't know if you've never looked at a script. I highly encourage you do. It's so many available online on so many sites that I can't think of right now, but it's definitely the formatting. I've looked at a lot of scripts myself, and it's different, especially plays and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like little nuances and, you know, even stuff I had to learn as I go, because my boyfriend, he studied filmmaking in school, so he was more abreast on writing scripts. So even he had to, like, you know, after he read it, he was like, this is great, but here are some few things. So it was definitely a learning process for me, but I also like had a full-time job and I had side jobs. So working on things like Giants and Milk and Honey, and like I was always just doing so much. It just finding the time to sit down and write is, you know, a struggle. And then for me personally, I'm a really big on dialogue, and like I hate dialogue that just sounds weird and unnatural and just like you know.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean.
I personally spend a lot of time making sure my dialogue is, true to character, true to life. It is authentic. A real person would say it. Sometimes I'll sit down and like have the conversation out loud before it even hits paper, just because that's how good I want mine to be. So just that whole process, it takes time, and sometimes you just don't have it. I'm sure as a writer, writer's block is real. Yeah. And sometimes you just aren't in the zone. Like I have to be in a zone to write. Like sometimes I can sit down and just crank out ideas, and then sometimes I'm like, I got nothing.
No, so that's how, especially during this pandemic, like I think a lot of us started out the pandemic thinking, I'm gonna have all this extra time. I'm gonna take over the world when 2021 hit or whenever we out of this. I'm telling you, because I said that I wanted to start like really writing and putting ideas out there. Is it working for you? Because it's not working for me.
No, I had so many. I'm like, just exactly what you said. I'm like, I have nothing but time. All these years I'm saying I'm going to do this, and I get more time. And then I got more time, and I don't know what happened, but
me either.
I didn't do any of the things that I said I would always do when I had more time.
Nope. Look, I'm just not starting this podcast. It is something that I thought it's something that I started, but I've just been so inconsistent with. You just think that things are going to happen and they don't. So just for a little bit, tell me about how important it is to take time with yourself, because I feel like, especially us millennials, we're both in our 20s, and I know I'm hard on myself, and I know just like from the things that you've done, I can only imagine. So how important has it been for you to give yourself that grace?
I can't even stress the importance. Like I'm super just type A, like you said, just very hard on myself, a very overachiever, especially when I look at where I'm trying to go. Yeah. And I just, and I find myself sitting down and watching TV. It makes me feel guilty. Like you don't deserve to take breaks. If you're trying to reach these goals, you need to be doing certain things. You need to be constantly on, constantly moving. And so that's just my inner dialogue with myself all the time. It's just like that guilt of not working hard enough, even though, like you said, as millennials, we just, for whatever reason, we created this culture about really needing to just be constantly on team, no sleep, just glorifying not sleeping, which is super unhealthy. And that's still something I'm like trying to get better at, but it takes a toll. Like my body shuts down after a certain point, and I'm an introvert, so which most people don't believe when I say that. So
really? You're so open with me.
I mean, I can't, like, I like people. I like to be around people, but it drains my energy. So I get energy internally for myself. So when I talk to people, I can be the life of the party, but it's very taxing on my mental and spiritual. So all of that combined, it just really starts to break your body down. Like I'll get sick. I'll just not even. It takes so much energy for me to move from A to B, and so I have to really just like sit down and start. Like you said, just taking time for self. I started doing yoga, which I found very helpful. Yeah. I started meditating. I'll light candles. I'll drink tea. I'll just sit down whenever I can and just like do nothing. Or even if it's just watching TV or reading a book, it's so important because your body really does suffer in the long run. It's something I had to learn the hard way of just like, taking a break. You can't be a racehorse. Our bodies aren't meant to function that way. And we're not in college anymore. So.
No. That post-grad life is real, and I don't think people talk about it enough. I tell my friends all the time, when you graduate, you think you're going to become the CEO of Google, and it's not to say you can't, but there's a journey to life, and we paying our dues. It is tough. It is tough out here. So I do want to switch gears right quick, Breanna. I know you mentioned it a little bit briefly earlier, but you did write your series, A la Carte. Is that correct? Is I pronouncing it right?
Yeah.
A la Carte. So I did my research on it, of course. Not only did you have quite a few stars in the cast, and we're going to get to that in a second, but it's the story about being a side piece.
It is. It is.
Really? It's so much more, but I'm going to let you tell it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's crazy because I didn't realize until I started talking to more people how common the situation is. And for me, especially when I was younger, I just, I grew up in a 2-parent household. So I always prided myself on having certain standards, certain, like, I would never, that I would never. Yeah. And then, but it's weird because, like, dating as a millennial, I don't know what's going on with the dating. But like, it seems like if you have morals and standards, you're losing.
Yeah.
So like, you know, we just in a culture where everything is so fast, everything is so superficial, everything is no strings, no whatever. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like if you're a person with morals or standards or a certain expectation, mm-hmm. this isn't like your battleground. Yeah. So after so many years of that, it really takes a toll on your self-esteem, on your mental.
It does, because you definitely feel like that. You feel like, is it me or am I wrong? Or like, even like online, you know, a lot of people have been having the conversation about transactional sex. You know, you got to buy me this, or all of these things tied to the relationship. And what happened to, like, you take your little bit, I take my little bit. We grow each other spiritually, and other things come attached along with it. But it's just like you said, it's like you get you some moral values and you feel like you're losing.
Yeah, exactly. So after years and years of that, and literally just watching mm-hmm. people with looser values seem to be getting ahead in life, at least like from a dating standpoint. Mm-hmm. And so it really, and I'm a huge fan of like Sex and the City. Mm-hmm. So I'm just watching Samantha live her best, like sexually liberated life and all this stuff. And I'm like, after so much of that, I was like, you know what? Maybe hoes are winning.
Maybe
which is the title episode of the pilot. Uh-huh. You know, I just started to adopt that, like, you know what, maybe I should just abandon these morals that I've been clinging on to and try something new. Yeah. And so I just found myself in a situation that once upon a time I thought I would never be in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it just took me so far out of my character and who I am as, you know, in my core. And just after so long, I got to a point where I didn't even recognize myself. Mm. And, you know, it just got to a really low point. I was just acting out of character. Mm. And, you know, luckily I eventually was able to, you know, get through it, get over it. But I also had so many friends, so many people that I knew who I watched go through the same situation. And I remember feeling so bad for them, knowing like, you know, I know where you are right now and I can tell you it's going to get worse before it gets better. Like I remember listening to my friends talk about that situation and just being heartbroken because I knew where this was going because I had been there. And just also just like the more women I talk to, I'm like, dang, this is really a thing. Yeah. Maybe I should tell a story about it and hopefully someone will watch it and be like, well, I don't want to go through that. So let me make better decisions.
No, and that's something that I'm sure you explore with the character Mahogany. That's the lead. And with that character, like, just from what I read and different things, it's just something to be said about, like you said, it's the loneliness sets in. It's just like, I think everybody clings, especially during this pandemic, everyone clings for that affection, for that love and that care, that touch. And it's just like, sometimes it's the compromise for it, though.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you find a guy who finally, after everything that he seems to be checking all these boxes, except for that one tiny thing, girlfriend. If it weren't for that
just a little thing,
he would be perfect. I think just all those elements, like you said, coupled with the loneliness, you just get to a point where you start to compromise, and that was like a whole goal behind the show, and what I wanted people to take away is that don't compromise. Wait on yourself, basically. Don't like lower your standards and your values and get swept up in this, you know, generation of dating. Like, wait on yourself and don't compromise.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. And that's something that's so interesting because I was watching Fox Soul earlier. It's like this, I guess, like a new format for like having conversation with people of color. So I really like it. And they were talking about how, like, one of the members of, like, Fifth Harmony came out. And she's 27 years old. And she's a virgin. And she was just talking about the importance, right. And they were all talking about, like, the value. And it was, like, Romeo, Zanique, all of them. And they were just talking about the importance of doing things on your time. But I think we're kind of in a rush culture. And you kind of feel peer pressure and just left out, if you will. Because it just feels like it doesn't have to be something as extreme as that. But just saying within the dating culture, like, you feel like, okay, I want my little boo. Even if, though, in 6 months you see these people fighting online, you still want that for some reason.
Yeah, and I think online just makes it worse because, of course, we put the best version of our lives online. So people aren't even putting the fights online or, like, the bad. It looks like it's all beautiful. So as an outsider looking at that, you just, you know, you're only seeing the good and the rosiness, and it just makes you feel like, dang, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Let me get that, not knowing there are other things happening behind the doors that you don't even see or think about.
No, that's so true. So that's what I like that the series does implore. So tell me a little bit about where you're looking to take the series because it does have Lamaya in there and Kendall. So a few characters in there, like I said, names that we all know very well. So tell me where you're looking to hoping to take that series, or if you're looking to start writing something else. Because I know it's something about pilots. A lot of people probably don't know the process, but when you have a pilot, it's all a working to getting that show to a network, Netflix, HBO, Fox, whatever your network of choice is. It usually doesn't always hit the first time. So tell me about a little bit working on that series.
Yeah, so I mean, that's exactly where we are in the process. We're in the hurry up and wait phase.
Yeah.
So we shot the pilot. We had a huge screening for it last June. It was wonderful. We had like some 300 people come out. We had like, Hennessy sponsored the after party. It was like a big to do, and it was so much like people loved it. It was so much hype around it, and then you get into the industry and it's like, wah, wah, wah. So, me being a first time screenwriter, the director was a first time director. So most of the crew, it was an indie project. So most of the crew is all up and coming. Yeah. And the problem with Hollywood, even though we shot a beautiful piece of content, so the product looks great, the story is great, the characters are there. Something about the industry just really is it's so tricky. It's so set in their ways. They want you to like have some credibility behind you. So they want some celebrity who had nothing to do with the project to endorse it and like, give us that credibility, even though with the pilot, we've already proven that we're capable of doing this. And then also, I guess it can be taken as a compliment, but a lot of feedback that we've been getting is that it's been compared to Insecure, right? Which is at surface level, thing. But also what's kind of upsetting is discouraging is like, white people get to create and reincarnate the same show 10 times and no one says boo. But, with black people, with people of color, we only get one. There's only room for one millennial, black female-centered show about dating. Yeah. So again, not that I personally don't think it's that similar to Insecure, honestly.
From what I read, and like I went to like the website, the Prodigy Art, and I did all my research on it. It's a very good storyline, but I think a lot of times that's why I wanted to have you on because I don't think people understand the importance of like networking like with those around you. That's something that Issa Rae actually said. Sometimes we think of like these big time screenwriters and all these big time actors and actresses, but like in 10 years, I can only imagine where you're going to be, and you get a chance to tell the story of a la carte, like how this is, and hopefully, I don't know, Lizzo inspired me. Like that song that she came out with, it came out like 2-3 years ago, or even like Ella May. You see all these things, and it's not dead. I'm not saying it's not going to get picked up at all, but I'm just saying the journey, all of our journeys are interesting. So I wish people would appreciate it's going to happen in time. So that's what I loved about whenever you told me that. I was like, really? That's awesome that you got further than most.
Thank you. And I love your point about just like our network. And people ask me the question all the time just about how I got it made because, like I said, it was independently produced. So it was made by a bunch of my friends, people that I went to college with, people that I work with. Yeah. And that speaks to the importance of industry, right? So everyone on the team were people that I handpicked, that I personally know and am friends with and have worked with before. So I know their work ethic. Because that's one thing, of course you can champion your own project, but to get other people on board and to fight for your project and to put all this time and work into it the same way you do is incredible. And I think about it all the time, and I thank my friends all the time for doing that because it's hard, especially when you're not paying people. People are motivated by money or be their own personal gain. So to find people to really like invest in my project was, it meant the world to me, and I'm so thankful. But like you said, it has everything to do with your network. So instead of going out and trying to grab all these huge people, these established people who would have probably tried to take the show away from me, take the creative, all that stuff. Absolutely. I looked around me and just looked at my friends who I know are equally as capable, equally as talented, if not more, because they're more hungry, and they're mostly Howard grads, so they already have that going for them.
That's okay. That's a special creme de la creme people for out there who don't know. Okay, you see who running for vice president? Okay.
Yes, Bison.
Okay, y'all better know. No, I literally am so inspired by all HBCUs, but Howard Alum, like I said, having wanted to go there, I know so much about the great alum that you all have. But like you said, it's so important for especially people on the come up. Like, I just always encourage people, you can dream as big as you want to, but don't ever think, especially for us, people of color, black creatives, you don't have to take the stairs, and sometimes you have to build those stairs and then climb up them. So it's not gonna happen in the way that you may think. But do you have anybody that you want to work with? Just curious. We just talked about that working with. Like, what's your dream? Like, I don't know, maybe producer, actor, actresses. What's your dream to work with?
I mean, I would love to work with Shonda Rhimes. I'm just like such a stan of her writing. Like, I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy fan, even though the last seasons have kind of gone completely downhill. But like, Grey's Anatomy, Scandal in its heyday, like just that. She's an amazing storyteller, and like I really like just the characters. And I didn't even watch Grey's Anatomy when it was hugely popular. I avoided it for a long time because I have no interest in like medicine and hospitals. But if that woman could make me like care about that stuff, and by season 5, I swore I was like a board certified cardiothoracic surgeon. And I'm just like, just her ability to tell a story and really like bring an audience into this world is amazing. Just with the twists and the turns, and you never expect it, and it's just so rooted in reality and its lessons. And I'm so in awe of her as a creator. She has a whole freaking block of a weekday, for goodness sake. So
pretty much,
she's definitely like partner goals. I would love to work with her.
Yes, no, Shonda is definitely powerful, and she's just like a startup, I feel like, for so many of the show creators. That's why I'm so interested to see how, like, the behind the scenes is going to change for so many of you all who are show writers, so many people who are writers, period. Like, the creative process is definitely going to get really interesting. Now, before we go, I did have a little quick this and that game for us. Ooh. Okay, yes, look at me. Here we go. All right, look at me, the grandfather clock. I am at home, people. Oh, no. Okay. All right, so we are going to play a quick game of this or that. So just tell me which one would you rather? All right, so first one, blind date or speed dating?
Speed dating.
Series or movies?
Series.
Okay. Working with Tyler Perry or Spike Lee?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee, okay. Girlfriends or Insecure? It's so interesting. If I would have known.
Girlfriends, for sure.
Girlfriends. Have you been catching up on that, on all that Netflix off subject? What do you think about bringing back all those shows?
I mean, I'm here for it. And it wasn't like, the more I watched it, I was like, dang, I really miss good black TV. Like, we used to have a poppin' just lineup. And a lot of these shows were ahead of their time. So I've been like binging Girlfriends, and just some of the things they talk about are still relevant now. And I'm like, Mara Brock Akil was really in her bag with this show.
I saw like first season, they were talking about colorism. Like, I was just like, when is the last time a black show, I know we are going great places as a people, but I was just like, as a dark-skinned woman, like, people don't even, they totally act like it doesn't exist. And I was just like, whenever you see so many storylines, that's why it's important to have the more writers in the room. That's why I know you're going to break through, but it's going to be so interesting, all of the different things. That's what I loved about Giants, that it talked about mental health. And I was just like, imagine if that was on something like a Netflix or something. Like, I was just like, it's just so powerful, those shows that give nuances to what blackness is as we evolve as a people that are going from survival mode to thriving mode.
Yes, and we're multifaceted, so we're not all the same. We're all different. There's a huge scope of the black experience, and we just need to see more of it. And what I hope most is, and what I love about them bringing all these shows back, and what I talk about all the time is, I remember growing up on those shows, and I remember growing up seeing people that look like us, that are college educated, that are lawyers, that are doctors, that are like working and having goals and all this stuff. And we got to a point where like Black people on television meant like Bad Girls Club or Basketball Wives, where we go and drink with each other. And it got to a point where I feel like the younger generation were looking at that and was like, oh, well, that's it. I don't got to go to school. I don't got to do this. Let me just learn how to do makeup and, you know, get some butt implants and marry rich. And it was like, that's what they were aspiring to be. And it was really unsettling. And so my hope is that we go back to, you know, I'm loving this resurgence of, you know, good Black TV because we need to see that. We need to see ourselves because when we look on the news, we're seeing ourselves being crucified and murdered, and like that's a whole other thing.
Absolutely.
So we need to somewhere see ourselves thriving, being successful, overcoming our trauma and working through it.
Yes. And that's so important. I really, really love that you said that because I think that stories like that, it's important that they're heard. It's important that we hear from these future showrunners that are going to have the power when they're on those sets. So that's why I really wanted to have you today, Breanna, and I enjoyed it. And like you said, a la carte is definitely on the market. We're going to hope that in the next couple, who knows, in a couple of years, next year, you never know. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at whatwould_breezes_do_. That's where I'm most active. I have a Twitter account, but I'm really on it, and I couldn't even tell you what my Twitter handle is.
What would breezes do? Okay, well, I'll be sending over the follow. But it's so important. I love creative spaces like this. It was so fun talking to you. I hope we touched on everything. I know you do a lot, so.
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot. This is great. So much fun. I'm looking forward to just sharing my insight with the world. I hope it's helpful or aspiring to at least one person.
Yes, keep going. As you heard Breanna tell you, okay? It's not going to happen overnight, y'all, but it's beauty in the journey.
Amen.
All right, thank you, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, guys, that is this week's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in this week. Be sure to tune in every week to check out all of our new episodes. We are available on all platforms, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean. And I want to give a special shout out to J Visuals for the graphics. So be sure to stay tuned for more exciting things to come. Have a good week. Be blessed and in abundance.